Hey everybody, welcome to Crackback Tuesday, number 118 on the Mana League. I'm John as always, and we've got a pack of Hour of Devastation with good old Angel of Condemnation on the front. We're going to crack this open, see what's in it, and see what we would take pack one, pick one if this was a draft. Up first is Spell Weaver Eternal, 1 and a blue for a creature, zombie, Naga, wizard. It's a 2/1 with prowess and afflict 2. I talked about this last week. It's really nice and aggressive. You get in for 2 or 3 a few times, and then just one final throw at whatever they have, and even if they block, they take 2 anyways. Yeah, pretty good card. Nowhere near a first pick. Dauntless Haven is up next, 2 and a white for a creature, bird warrior. It's a flyer. It's got, it's a 2/1, and whenever Dauntless Haven attacks, untap target creature you control. So it has vigilance. It can attack and untap itself. You can do some shenanigans on tapping exert creatures, which is really good. On tapping a Top Crop Elite feels real nice, as my league deck can attest to. Yeah, I like Dauntless Haven a fair bit. If this pack stays weak, which the last 2 have, I would first pick a Dauntless Haven and not feel horrible about it, though I wouldn't feel great. Firebrand Archer is up next, 1 and a red for a creature, human archer. It's a 2/1, and whenever you cast a non-creature spell, it deals 1 damage to each opponent. So it's got prowess, except it deals damage instead of pumping itself. It's fine. It fits into the blue-red spells deck. It can even go in aggressive decks as well as just a piker, but it's nowhere near a first pick. Lethal Sting is a first pickable-ish card. 2 and a black for a sorcery as an additional cost to cast it. Put a -1/-1 counter on a creature you control. Destroy target creature. Just blow it up. Yeah, it's basically unconditional removal. Just like a fight card, it requires you to have a creature down. Unlike a fight card, however, they can't bounce the creature in response because you cast the card by putting the counter on it. And once it's cast, the creature's dying. Yeah, I would first pick a Lethal Sting. I wouldn't feel terrible about it. In fact, that Dauntless Haven is probably not long for the world anymore. Beneath the Sands is 2 and a green for a sorcery. Search your library for a basic land card, put it onto the battlefield tapped, then shuffle your library, cycling for 2 generic mana. Not a fan of Beneath the Sands. There's way better ways of fixing your mana, smoothing your mana, ramping your mana in this format. If you're desperate, if you failed to get the Oasis Ritualists or the Naga Vitalists or etc., I guess. But you don't want to be having this as your kind of A plan. Very, very, very late pick. Nowhere near first pick. Grizzly Survivor we talked about last week. I don't like the Survivors. The cycling deck doesn't really exist unless you are a complete luck sack and just totally clairvoyant on what you're going to open in pack 3. 2 and a black for Creature Minotaur Warrior. It's a 2/3 whenever you cycle or discard a card +2/+0 until end of turn. Just doesn't do enough. It's too often just a boring vanilla 2/3. Not a first pick. Grave and Abomination we talked about last week. 3 generic mana for a 3/1, or was that 2 weeks ago? I don't remember. Artifact creature horror. Whenever it attacks, you exile a card from a defending player's graveyard. There is so much better graveyard hate. There are so much better creatures. Totally out on Grave and Abomination. Never play it. Never pick it. Striped Riverwinder is up next. 6 and a blue for a creature serpent. It's a 5/5 with hexproof. Possibly my most hated keyword ever. I don't like cards that you just aren't allowed to interact with unless you happen to have a board state. You can cycle it for generic blue mana. This is fine. It's slightly expensive, so you don't always see these come out. But a blue-green deck can easily get to that 7 mana. And if you need to, you can cycle this away. So it's a fine card. It's nowhere near a first pick. It's just really annoying to play against. But I wouldn't recommend just, snapping these up and always playing them. They go in specific decks. Ruin Rat is up next. Ruin Rat is 1 and a black for a creature rat with Death Touch. It's a 1/1. When it dies, exile target card from an opponent's graveyard. I like Ruin Rat quite a bit. If this pack was super weak, I'd consider first picking it. It wouldn't go before I take the Dauntless Haven, and certainly not before the Lethal Sting. But yeah, I love Ruin Rats. I'll play them every single time. I'll pick them kind of high mid-pack. I like Ruin Rats. They're just real good. Our final common is Steadfast Sentinel, 3 and a white for a creature human cleric. It's a 2/3 with vigilance, or it's a 4/4 with vigilance if you eternalize it for 4 white. I don't like Steadfast Sentinel. I don't like either sides of it. You pay way too much mana to finally get that 4/4 vigilance. Does not do enough for me. I'll play it if I'm desperate, but I will cut it as much as possible. Our first uncommon is Steward of Solidarity. Steward of Solidarity is 1 and a white for a creature human warrior. It's a 2/2. Tap and exert it to make a 1/1 with vigilance. This is fine. If this is left to get out of control, it can do some ridiculous things and just flood the board. That being said, it's every other turn that it can make one, so I have played with this and it's just been too slow. I've made 1/1s every other turn and just died anyways. But with some extra support, with some careful deck building, it can do some really fun things. For example, you could have a Sheffet Dunes, which is a land desert tap for a colorless mana, tap pay a life for a single white mana, or pay 2 white, tap sack a desert to give your entire board, including your army of 1/1s, +1/+1 until end of turn. Yeah, Sheffet Dunes is really good. I would not really first pick these. It would have to be a really weak pack for me to actually take a desert first pick. But I'll take them relatively highly, play them in actually just every single white deck. And of course, if deserts matter, it's even better. Like Sheffet Dunes quite a bit. Not a first pick for me. Not against these cards. Also not a first pick is Torment of Scarabs. 3 and a black for an enchantment or a curse. Enchant player. At the beginning of enchant player's upkeep, that player loses 3 life unless he or she sacrifices a non-land permanent or discards a card. I have given this card far too many chances, and I was down on this card at the start. But I gave it several chances. I've played it in multiple sealed decks. I played it in a draft deck. It does not do what it needs to do. I've played against this card every single time somebody plays this card against me. I go, awesome. You did nothing for the turn. That is perfect. I'm going to win this game. Yeah, I've died to it. Absolutely, I've died to it. But I have won infinitely more than I've died to this card. It is not a good card. Don't play it. That's all I got to say about that. But then I get to rant some more about Imminent Doom. Imminent Doom is 2 and a red for an enchantment at rare. Imminent Doom enters the battlefield with a Doom counter on it. Whenever you cast a spell with converted mana cost equal to the number of Doom counters on Imminent Doom deals that much damage to target creature or player. Then put a Doom counter on Imminent Doom. Imminent Doom. I have heard some people talk about this being a good card. You just need to have a whole bunch of 1-drops in it, which I still don't get. I still don't understand the whole idea of, well, as long as I have 5 or 6 1-drops, I can play Imminent Doom. Well, sure, that gets your first counter on Imminent Doom. But then you've got to luck into your 2-drops to get the second counter. And then you've got to luck into your 3-drops to get the third counter on it. And yes, I've seen the screenshots of people with 8 counters on this card. It's just so luck-based to get maybe some removal or damage to the face. That's not how I play Magic. Not how I play Magic. I'm out on Imminent Doom. I would never first pick it. I would never play it. If you feel like just rolling the dice, I guess you can, but that's not how I draft. So, we're looking at these 3 cards. I don't think Dauntless Haven competes with the other 2, so it's really down to Steward of Solidarity or Lethal Sting. I know Steward of Solidarity's power. That being said, I've been burned by it a lot of times with it just being too slow. So I think personally, I'm going to lead towards the Lethal Sting just because I like the removal. I think the correct pick might be Steward of Solidarity, and my experiences with it have just been a little bit too varied towards the negative side. But I'm going to go with Lethal Sting. Let me know if you would have taken the Sting or the Steward. Are you one of those crazy impending doom people? Let me know in the comments down below. As always, if you have any questions, comments, or suggestions, you can find me on Twitter at The Mana Leak. That's L-E-E-K like the vegetable, not the card. You can also find me at twitch.tv/TheManaLeak, patreon.com/TheManaLeak, and one that I forgot to say out of order, Facebook.com/TheManaLeak. Let's go with that. If you do have any questions, comments, or suggestions, you can... I just repeated myself. I have totally flustered myself. I've gone off my ingrained script in my memory. The next thing I talk about is liking. If you like the content, despite all those screw-ups, you can click that thumbs up button. If you want to see more and you haven't already, you can click the subscribe button. And if you do have questions, comments, or suggestions, let me know. Otherwise, see you all next time.